Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel. Today's video is about accountability. I've got to make myself accountable as a Chelsea fan who cares about the club, who wants the best for the football club, and when things aren't going well, we tend to talk about things in a negative way, right? When Chelsea are winning, we're positive, we're happy, because above all else, it's the results on the pitch. It's the potential of winning trophies, having medals around the necks of the players, lifting trophies above our heads, winning tournaments. That is what I support Chelsea for. I support Chelsea not just because we've been very successful in my lifetime. The reason I support Chelsea is because of my old man. My dad was a Chelsea fan, used to go home and away, up and down the country. Then I was born, and that changed a little bit. He's got other things he's got to deal with, such as baby Benson. Little terror I was. So therefore, I was born into a Chelsea family. I was going to Chelsea from a young age. I remember, I think it was Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank may have scored a hat-trick in one of my first games. Then Idiger Johnson, I think, got a hat-trick against Blackburn in another one of the first games that I can remember. And since then, we've been blessed. Roman Abramovich took over Chelsea 2003. We signed a load of players back then. We were bringing in some Galacticos. We were bringing in big names that eventually changed the fortunes of what our football club was used to. The occasional FA Cup win in the late 90s and some brilliant nights in Europe. But Chelsea weren't really challenging for the Premier League. We were getting the odd cup competition win here and there. But Roman changed that. Roman Abramovich redefined what the standards were at Chelsea Football Club. And it's important that we define that when we talk about accountability here. Because as fans, right, we can all just sit here and be like, well, it's a new ownership. It's a new project. It's a new way of, running Chelsea. And unfortunately, the hardest part, right, is that I understand what the owners are doing. I understand that now it isn't Roman Abramovich as the owner who bought Chelsea as like a little shiny toy and wanted to make it the shiniest toy of all of the toys. Successful mission, Mr. Roman. You did it. You made Chelsea a winning machine. These new owners have come in and are running Chelsea like a professional business, not as a project where we care about winning above all else. And that is why in today's video, I want to look at this season. I want to look at all of the money that's been spent. I want to look at some of the promises that were made that are just not coming into fruition. Because that is what needs to be addressed right now. I don't want to sit here and say, well, it's all on the players for piss poor performances, or it's on Maresca for this loser mentality. You remember Jose Mourinho, right? I think it was 2014. He came in and we were the little horse. We finished third that season. That's not respectable for Chelsea. But then after that, we go ahead and we win the league. So there's an element of understanding sometimes you've got to be realistic. And sometimes you're not going to be able to lift the trophy every single season. But then because the standards were so high, we always had the answer to it. If we didn't win one week, we win the next. If it's a bad run of fixtures and a bad run of results, gone is the manager, in comes a new one. Chelsea had leaders. Chelsea had a we must win at all costs mentality. And now we're willing to accept mediocrity. I'm not willing to accept mediocrity. Yes, I know that there's been a lot of times this season where I've sat here in front of this camera and I've been like, yeah, do you know what? I can see it now. I can see what we're trying to do here. When you're winning football matches, it's very easy to put what is going on behind the scenes to the back of the mind because I'm a Chelsea fan who wants to see us win. That is predominantly what we're here for, to enjoy victories together, to revel in those beautiful moments. And then obviously when it's more painful, we feel those pains together. And I think because of the way that this season has now just gone all of a sudden, we've had this awful run of form, right? And I'm going to show you that run of form exactly right now. If you look here, we started off the season with a 2-0 defeat at home to Man City. I was at that game. There was a lot of negativity in and around the stadium. Understandably so. We weren't sure if Maresca was going to be the right guy. Championship manager is what we heard. We had nothing else to go by. We had a very average pre-season. Understandably, a lot of people at that point were like, well, this ain't going to flipping work, is it? We're beaten by Man City. And then look at what we did from there. Starts to get a little bit better. We had obviously that defeat to Servette away in the Conference League playoff, but we're not really fielding the most strongest sides there. We have a good start to the season, some good wins, a nice 5 goals against Barrow. We had the 2-1 defeat at Liverpool. And this is what I want to talk about when it comes to mentality, okay? Because that away defeat at Anfield didn't really... it felt like a defeat, obviously. Bloody hell, Benson. We lost the game. Of course it felt like a defeat. But there was an optimism after that result because of the way that we played, because of the way that we took the game to Liverpool. And I think we were relatively unlucky in that match, to be quite honest. Yes, we probably deserved to lose overall, but there was an energy about Chelsea. The way that we were playing was a team that were youthful, a team that had a new manager that has come in and tactically pretty astute, knows what he wants to do, knows that he wants to play attractive football. And then if we take it back to the results after that, we bounced back with a win against Panathinaikos, beat Newcastle, lost to Newcastle in what was the first real sign of like a seriously feeble performance in the League Cup. We then moved to Man United away, a game that we should have won. And it's really here, to be quite honest. And when you look at the results, you'd think like, well, are you sure, Benson? You went on an incredible winning run here. Beat Leicester, Heidenheim, Villa, Southampton. That incredible win away at Spurs. Then Astana, Brentford, Shamrock Rovers. But the first signs of how this team was still very naive, how the standards have dropped so massively at Chelsea, was the way that we started to hear the manager speak about us, right? Press conferences started coming along. People were looking at Chelsea thinking, could they go on a little title charge here? Could Chelsea win the Premier League this season? And a lot of us were like, nah. Sarcastic, a lot of us as well. But it's the fact that when the manager is sat there talking about, oh yeah, we're not going to be ready for that. No, we're 2nd or 3rd right now, but we could be 6th, 7th in a few weeks' time. Then, when you've got that draw at Everton and this atrocious run of league form here, which was kind of sugar-coated a little bit by the Morecambe 5-0 and even the Wolves 3-1. The season isn't all doom and gloom, but why does it feel like it is? Why are we all sat here right now throwing all of our toys out of the pram? The issue is because we can all see what needs to happen here. We can all see that this run of fixtures right here shouldn't have been the run of fixtures that sends Chelsea from being a team that couldn't stop winning into a team that couldn't find a win in the Premier League for love nor money. The reason behind this is purely, simply the mentality of this football club. Enzo Maresca in press conference after press conference after press conference is reiterating what he has been told by the owners. The owners don't expect Champions League football this season, do they? Might not even expect it next year, but they want a title charge the year after. They want to go on a Champions League charge next season. So when we're sat there in a very comfortable position in 2nd in the Premier League, in a Champions League place, overachieving, some may say. Well, Chelsea fans, like me, that have been used to success over the years, that isn't overachieving. That's being back where we belong. And the fact that he came out press conference after press conference after press conference telling us as fans, telling the rest of the footballing world, nah, you know what, we shouldn't be here. We're doing all right now, but, you know, we don't expect anything. You've got the players coming out in copious amounts of flipping interviews, giving these, like, don't know what you're talking about the title race. This is not Chelsea whatsoever. And the fact that this has been pushed down from the very top of the club, that this isn't what we expect. So don't get people too excited because, you know what, don't worry about it, guys. We're ahead of schedule right now. This is bullshit. This is complete and utter bullshit. And I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say that when I look at the transfer stories today and I see that, you know, Chelsea are leading the race for Liam Delap and we're reigniting the interest for Matisse Tell, and I'm seeing like, oh, Chelsea might bid for Garnacho again. Let me tell you something about Alejandro Garnacho, right? If he was to sign for Chelsea, I feel sorry for him. I feel sorry for him because every single person that supports this football club who knows anything about football looks at these flipping results right here, looks at all of these flipping stats. You look at this. I'm going to click on the word XG, all right? All of these XG games where we've just offered nothing. And you guys know I don't like XG. Football is about the goals scored and the goals against. You get 3 points, 1 point, or 0. All right? But XG is an explanation. At this point, Chelsea have gone from being a team that can create loads of chances to a team that seem to be happy with falling down the league table, looking at the squad that we've got, and once again, unfortunate, injury. Paper, threadbare, squad depth again. Looking at a lack of quality. Looking at wingers that don't seem to be offering anything other than a couple of tap-ins from Noni, but then the rest of the game he goes completely missing. A striker that hasn't scored in 7. A goalkeeper who, because we accept the mediocrity, I say we, the manager accepts the mediocrity, protects the goalkeeper over and over again, he gets selected again the next week. Why? The reason for it is purely politics. Robert Sanchez, no matter what anyone says about, oh, the data suggested this, it's bollocks, mate. It's absolute bollocks. He was bought because we looked at Brighton, a club that, all right, fair enough, they're doing very well. League 2 a few years ago, but they haven't won nothing. And we want to copy that. Are you kidding me? No, I don't accept it. No, I'm not going to sit here and just say, oh, well, you know, we're still in touching distance of the top 4. The reason I can't sit here and say, oh, we're still in touching distance of the top 4, factually, that's correct. We could win the next 2 or 3 matches and we could be back sat in 4th again and everyone's like, what are you moaning about? The fact of the matter is, are we going to win those next 3 matches? Probably not. The way that this team are playing right now and the way that we have just accepted all of this is feeding off itself. It is like a disease. When you accept it being okay to, you know, have a few good chances, well, we convert them next week, and you don't win this and you don't win that, and you look at the Newcastles going on runs where they win 9 out of 10 matches. You look at Aston Villa with an amazing manager, probably going to keep going all the way through to the end of the season. Man City go and spend millions, over 100 million, 142 million I think it is, addressing problems that are there before their very eyes. I've been kind of waiting as the video's gone on to actually talk about the reasons why we've got to blame the very top for this now. Because you can say, oh, sporting directors, and I've said all of this, and I've blamed various different people, but this is the video where I say the ownership now, take ownership. Because it doesn't take me or any other YouTubers or any other pundits to sit here and say this. It's exactly what you look at and realise. We do not have a top quality goalie. We do not have a striker that can be consistent enough to keep scoring goals in the Premier League to win us matches. We do not have any depth in the midfield, so Caicedo's being ran into the ground. We have had to recall a centre-back, Trevoh Chalobah, who never cost us a penny, by the way, and is now the best centre-back at the club, beg him to come back because we made a mistake, because we've employed inept people to make decisions at this football club for the benefit of Chelsea. There isn't any benefit in a footballing sense for what we as fans expect from this club. It is purely about business. And that is not how Chelsea Football Club should be ran. And even though we have got players at this club right now that are world class. Cole Palmer is a world class footballer who will be playing Champions League football next season. If it's at Chelsea, fair enough. We can be like, we've had a good season. Getting in the top 4 this season is a good season, considering how low we've been. But it's not. This doesn't mean we're going to be celebrating it like it's a trophy. We're not that club. I'm not going to sit here at the end of the season and be like, get here, we've won it, by finishing 4th. You're having a flipping laugh. Even though Opta is saying right now that English football's got a 98% chance of allowing 5th place into the Champions League. Are we even going to get 5th? The way that we're going right now, the way that we're moving in this transfer window, not addressing the alarming problems in our squad, but buying another winger. Are you taking the piss? All it's about is having enough players stockpiled at the football club so that we can eventually sell them on. Renato Vega had a couple of bad games and then all of a sudden we're cashing in on him to send him out on loan. Meanwhile, Ben Chilwell's not having a sniff all season, so Marc Cucurella is the only left back at the club now because we've let Renato Vega go because what? He wants to play as a centre-back, does he? Where are the standards? The fact we've even let this happen is an embarrassment. The fact that Trevor's been called back and is now the best centre-back at the club. Meanwhile, we can't even sell Disasi. All we've seen all January long are Chelsea are looking to sell this guy, looking to sell that guy. We can't sell Dewsbury Hall anymore because we've got no midfield backup and we're ignorant to recall the players we've actually got on our books. Why? Because we just want to sell them for more money in the summer. So do I think anything's going to change at Chelsea in terms of the results and the way that we're going to be ran? No, but they're all interlinked. The results right now are a result of the way that we are being ran and the acceptance of the mediocrity that has been infiltrating in this club ever since Roman Abramovich lost the club. And now I've said countless times on this channel that I understand what they're trying to do. Doesn't mean I agree with it. You can go back and look at any video and you can hear me saying that over and over and over again because I don't agree. Right now, what we need to do is address the fact that a few weeks ago, we were winning game after game after game. We were in a title race according to some people. And I even flirted with the idea of it. Why? Because that's a fun way of being a football fan, you know, to dream, to allow yourselves to dream. As Chelsea fans, we got used to that. We got used to dreaming because quite often our dreams came true. Now they're not going to. Because as soon as we're in any kind of position where we can feel good about ourselves and invigorate our confidence, we've got people belittling it. We've got people saying, nah, don't worry, it's going to be fine, but we don't expect anything now. So, you know, we might drop to 5th, 6th. No, I'm not blaming Enzo Maresca completely for this because it comes from above. It's the people at the very top that are saying, you know, you're doing well right now, but don't worry about it. Don't stress because we don't expect it. That is the bullshit that needs to be called out. And at the same time, not buying a goalkeeper when we desperately need one and we still see the same goalie in goal, yet we've signed 8 keepers. It's a disgrace. Petrovic putting in blinder after blinder at Strasbourg, not being at Chelsea. Even last season, Pochettino dropped Sanchez for Petrovic, and Petrovic is one of the most important reasons why we've even been able to go and score this season 8 goals against Noah, 5 against Shamrock Rovers, 4 against Ghent, 4 against Panathinaikos. Petrovic, one of the main reasons why Chelsea even got Conference League. And that's embarrassing enough in itself that we are now looking for any kind of European football. I'm not settling for it. Chelsea were comfortably in a Champions League spot a few weeks ago, and I was happy because we're winning football matches because that's what I care about the most, seeing Chelsea win. Now that we're not winning and we're not addressing it properly when we've got the opportunity to do so, and yet still the way that we speak in the media, players, the manager, the way it's being spoken about, we cannot just sit there and expect anything to change right now when all we see in the transfer window is recalling one centre-back who should never have left in the first place and signing another winger and not addressing the problems because winning doesn't seem to matter right now. What seems to matter is lining the books. That is the only thing that has to change. And this week, it's Monday right now. If I don't see us addressing these problems this week, then I'm telling you now, the results will not improve. We might get a few wins here and there, but we will miss Champions League football. We will not get top 4 or top 5. It won't happen because we've already accepted, the players have. I say we, I'm talking about the players and the manager. We've already accepted at this point that, it's all right, don't worry about it. We're ahead of schedule. Bollocks. Absolute flipping bollocks. Chelsea need to pull their finger out now. And if these owners have got any respect for themselves and what they said to us at the beginning of this project about wanting to make sure that Chelsea is still at the very top fighting for trophies, just remember that a lot of the time at the start of the tenure of these new owners, we heard some absolutely ridiculous statements coming out of their mouths that weren't even football comments, okay? Any football fan in the world can look at this Chelsea team right now and understand that we need someone to put the ball in the net. We need someone to stop the ball going in the net at the other end. We need backup in the middle. And Yeah, we probably do need other wingers because everyone's underperforming. But, like, at the end of the day, we've just bought so many of the wrong players. Yes, we bought some good ones. Don't get me wrong. But we're going to lose those as well. Because we're not prioritizing winning. If you prioritize winning, you get to keep your best players because they want to play in the best competitions. Cole Palmer will end up being sold. If a team in the Champions League this summer came in with over 100 million quid, Chelsea will say yes. Palmer should be in the Champions League. He'll say yes and go as well, despite the length of his contract. So, at this point, right now, we are going to be the architects of our own downfall. And the more we talk about it, hopefully, more people can see the issues that we have that need to be addressed. Sign us a flipping top striker. Sign us a goalkeeper. And get rid of the dead wood that is plaguing this squad right now. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, guys. We need to change things. And maybe it's too late. Maybe we've spent too much money. Maybe we're not going to change anything. And that is the point where we're all going to have to just sit there and be like, no, we can't take this anymore. Change has to happen now. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I genuinely thought that the 6 things we learned after Man City are like, I'll probably calm down on Monday. Nah. If anything, I feel worse about it. Because I don't see anything changing. And that is the most important bit. If it doesn't change, this is what we've got to get used to. And I don't want to do that. Thoughts in the comments, guys. Come on, you Blues.